sounds great. We're here with John and Bruce, and we've just been listening to some Union music. It's fantastic. And I think everybody would like to know how you guys first met and got together and how we have this music now.
Yes, how we met. It was a blind date. No. Truthfully, you know, I know Nikki Sixx from Motley. It's been a friend of mine since like 1990. And obviously when John joined Motley Crue, it was very exciting for me to watch someone, you know, walk in someone else's shoes, kind of like where I was with Kiss. And we met at one of the, you know, Motley would always have little, you know, parties and stuff, and Nikki invited me. And there was John, you know, so I got to meet him. You know, it's not like we were best friends suddenly. It's just, you know, for myself, it was a lot of fun to like look in from my eyes to see how it would be for John. I liked him a lot, of course, because he was from the East Coast, Italian dude, and, you know, I could relate to all that from being from New York. So it was very exciting for me to get to know him and keep an eye on the whole thing.
And John, your
yeah, I met Bruce a few times. Actually, I believe Valerie used to cut his hair too occasionally, so he used to come over to the house. We never really sat down and talked at great length, but you know, I always thought he was cool, and you know, we just chat and, you know, just like kind of social chit chat or whatever. But we just started talking on the phone, and we figured, you know, we weren't sure whether we wanted to do a band thing again, or, you know, so we just kind of got together and jammed a few times just to see how it would go. And it was real easy writing with him. And
you felt that connection.
Yeah, it was, you know, it's two guys that, you know, that were kind of in the confines of a bigger band, had walked in somebody else's shoes the entire time, you know, so we had a lot in common musically and personally. You know, we were actually like each other's therapists for a while, so it was cool. But it's been a lot of fun, man. It's cool.
How did you get the other guys in the band?
Oh, well,
I had nothing to do with it, so I'll let Bruce explain this.
That was my game plan, I guess. Obviously, we needed guys with you know, the right chemistry and really talented. And I didn't want people who were you know, going to be difficult to work with, and you know, it wouldn't be easy. But first choice, of course, was Brent Fitz, and I was a friend of his in L.A. I did a little bit of jamming here in town with him. And I didn't like immediately think, okay, he would be the drummer in what was to become Union. I really kind of felt like one day we kind of, Kurt Cuomo, our co-producer, co-writer, and I said, hey, let's dial up these new drums that Eric Singer happened to have lent us for Kurt's studio, and let's use Brent as a guinea pig. You know, it was honestly very innocent like that. And then of course, you know, Kurt and I going, wow, he's really kicking ass on the drums. And then, of course, I go, John, we got to check out Brent, because I think he really could be the drummer in the band. And the next time we jammed some of the new songs. In fact, the first one was Old Man Wise, was the first piece of music that we threw at him. It was a brand new piece, and, you know, John and I kind of developed it, you know, we had it going, the music at least of it. And he came up with a great beat right away, so it was like, okay, he's the guy.
And it was weird, like, after that, you know, he played the drums for a little while, and then we went into Kurt's living room, and the guy sat down and he played piano, and he was brilliant. I mean, the guy plays about 3 or 4 different instruments. You know, he sings his ass off, you know, and so it was real cool. He's a musician, you know what I mean? He's not just like a drummer, and it's cool working with him. And Bruce actually met... He met Jamie at a club. You know, he walked into this club in Hollywood, the Hollywood Athletic Club, and I know you were going to a party or something, right?
Yeah, it was actually some industry party, and he was in the rock room. They had all these different rooms with different, you know, kind of music going on. By the time I left that club, I made sure that I introduced myself properly and turned Jamie on to like what we were about. And we got to jam some of the new material again that John and I were working on. And I remember John hearing him, you know, as soon as he was plugged in, you know, it was just like, he's the guy, he's great, you know, and there was our fourth member.
I just like Jamie because he's got his own, you know, there's people that have their own agenda, and, you know, they're on just a different wavelength, and we just kid Jamie all the time because we just tell him, this guy's got his own fucking satellite dish. It's great. He's got his own planet. So we call him Space Boy.
Yeah, he is a trip.
He's a good guy, though.
Very talented, and you know, the missing link for us. You know, absolutely the fourth guy.
Oh, he's definitely a missing link somewhere.
Well, you had most of the material written before you got Brent and Jamie in the band. So how did the songwriting begin, and what was your motives there? What were your inspirations for some of the songs? If we can go through those.
Well, if before we go through like the songs or whatever and the inspirations, I mean, we really sat down and we didn't. Coming from Kiss and coming from Motley Crue, the one thing that we absolutely planned on doing or not doing was to write an album just for those fans, you know what I mean? We didn't want to go, okay, well, you were in Kiss, so we should write a bunch of songs that sound like, or got that Kiss vibe to them. So we were kind of, the limitations of what we could do were off. They were gone. So we just decided to do, we're into a lot of the same things, Cream, Zeppelin, Aerosmith, a lot of the old British bands, bluesy things and acoustic music, and we just said, hey, here's an opportunity for us to do whatever we want. No rules, no limitations. There's no big band name hanging over us, and so it's just like whatever, whatever just kicks us in the ass. That's what we're going to work on, and. The songs, the songs that actually made it to the record, I feel, are the ones that came the easiest. There's still a ton more material that, we worked on, and we think they're great ideas, but they just didn't come as easy or as quickly as these did, so.
You got to trust who you're writing with, who you're working with, the team around you, your band members, for feedback, and, a good song will kind of really speak, I think, even on just one guitar, not even plugged into an amp. And that's how some of the stuff got started, okay, or on acoustic. Pain Behind Your Eyes was something I came up with. A lot of the guitar ideas just sitting alone in my room, in my bedroom, just playing a Strat, and on a tape recorder in the crudest fashion. I played it for John. He was like, "That's cool," and then we started working on it. And then within like a week, all right, maybe not all the lyrics are done, but the song is kind of there. He's singing that chorus line that you hear. And then we get Kurt involved, and the whole thing gets like kind of like takes that shape, and it becomes this thing that you hear. You hope you all collectively hear the same thing, but it's something that's up in your brain that means so much for you to try to get on that 2-inch tape, okay? And I think "Let It Flow" is even a bigger song that took place from. And each song, I have to admit, had its own journey, how it made it to the record. Somewhere an idea.
Which one changed the most?
Changed the most?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, I think "Let It Flow" is one that changed a lot. Actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, from the original concept, it was something that I had actually put on just on acoustic guitar. I did I don't know, I guess I took like an acoustic guitar and a drum machine, and all I had was the first half of the song. I always felt that it could be something more than it was. I just didn't know like where or how or what, and it was something that we had listened to in the beginning, and we just kind of was like, yeah, it's cool, and we put it aside, and then finally when we wrote the second batch of tunes, Bruce took a look at it again, and he was like, wow, there is something here. And then he took it and he started coming up with all the other parts after, like the kind of musical instrumental parts, and it just kind of takes it. It's the coolest thing because it really does take you on a journey. There's so many different. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. So that one was weird. I think Around Again made a lot of changes too, because when we first, that was like the first song we actually worked on.
That's true.
And other than that, though, I think everything's pretty true to the way, it originally started, I guess.
Kind of, yeah, or at least,
close to it.
We kind of formed it together, but sometimes, like Let It Flow, he was saying everything was kind of created. He had his half, and then all of a sudden I said, okay, now I hear it going here, and I came up with that. But his original demo was just the first half,
So basically what he's saying is he came up with all the good parts.
Yeah. All those Guitar Army parts.
No ego here, folks.
As far as your lyrics go, John, how did you come up with some of your inspirations?
You know what it is? Bruce and I have been through so much stuff in the last 2 years. I think a lot of it's just life things, and it's really weird, but you go through a lot of at the time you go, God, what else could happen to me now, and in the last 2 years, I think my mother passed away. The whole thing happened with Motley Crue. I had some other personal things with my son and his health, and then my girlfriend left me, and it was just like this insane thing. I go, what else could possibly happen? And so then it was negative. But like thinking about it now, I'm glad I went through it because it made me think about things in a different way. Like Around Again is kind of a karma song, and it was weird. Like after all that stuff, I went, well, I think I pissed somebody off on my life sometime. I just went through everything, but now I've got a clean slate, and this is how I'm going to try and be from now on. So I think the lyrics are just really it's almost like a diary, or very reflective of what was happening at the time.
Robin's song in particular is a...
Robin's song is actually, I wrote that about 4 days after we split up, and I was just really, because that was the one thing that I wasn't really counting on. I knew my mom was sick, I knew that was going to happen, and I kind of heard there was a lot of rumors going on around the Motley thing, so I thought at any given moment this could happen. But the thing with Robin was the one thing that really threw me a curveball, So that's basically like, it's a letter that I wrote to her and I never sent it, and I put music to it, and it's just a really honest song. It's about how I feel about the whole situation.
Since you have been through a lot with your previous bands over the past year or more, what is it that you learned most from those experiences that you bring to this situation?
Well, I learned a lot, obviously, 12 years of being in KISS. First I was very, I didn't walk into KISS never having another gig or a record deal with a band, but none of it was quite as large, of course, by any means, compared to, the KISS fame and fortune, or just the amount of history with the band before me, even though, most bands don't last 5 years, no less, me being in the band 12 years. So I have to admit that I think because Gene and Paul especially went through a long period where they weren't really in control, I joined in a period when they really wanted to become, knowing it all. They wanted to know what was going on, be in control as the artist, and not even let the record company, control them. Okay, which sometimes happens too in the business. So I definitely learned a lot about, I would say, keeping an eye on what you want out of the band, what you think the fans want. Try to be as smart as you can, because I think a big thing would be, to sum it up, if you could do it yourself, because someone else won't do it as well as yourself. Okay, and I've taken that attitude with Union, so that is absolutely something to learn from KISS. And he learned a different story from Motley Crue. Party!
No, actually, I the difference between Motley and the Scream, I learned a little bit going on tour and stuff with the Scream and doing that record, and then just with Motley I learned some writing techniques. I got to give Nicky and Tommy and Mick credit. Those guys have been very successful at what they do. They're very they're perfectionists, so some of that rubbed off on me. I think the difference is I have a little different outlook as far as that goes, but just some of the business things, there was things I wasn't even aware of, and I learned a lot about that being in Motley Crue. But hopefully we can use that to our benefit, everything that we've learned here. I believe in being hands-on too, as much as I get. Bruce is much more hands-on than I am.
John's very hands-on with the women.
But that's a part of the thing. I keep telling him that is part of the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're a new band. How do you go about telling people you're out there? How do you reach your fans and let them know that this record is out and this new band exists?
Actually, I really like the way Mayhem's going about with this whole plan. It's a very street level kind of vibe I don't know, man. It's really cool. We're using the internet a lot, and the reaction that we've been getting through the internet and the different websites and stuff has been really cool. But I just really like the fact that we've got this thing. It's been dubbed the union workforce. We've got kids on the street that are just loyal to Bruce and myself, and we've sent them some autographed pictures and some flyers, and when we go out and we do our shows or our tours or whatever, these are people that are going to be backstage hanging out with us, and so we can thank them personally for going the distance for us. It's all about the fans anyway, and they're the ones right now that are pulling for us, and I think that's the coolest way, and it's just word of mouth. It's like the old days, like Aerosmith when they started. They just went out, they put their record out, and they just went out and they played and played and played, and it was all word of mouth, and they became one of the biggest bands in the world.
Grassroots.
Yeah, it's a grassroots thing, man. I dig it.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, obviously, that we have a place to start from. There's this fan base from Motley and Kiss that I've been receiving mail for like a year and a half now. Can't wait for you to do what you want to do, Bruce. We support you no matter what. We appreciate you from being in the band and everything. So that's a great place to start. Obviously, we want to take it even beyond. But I think, like John said, Mayhem's got a handle on how to make those people a part of our success, and they really are the first step. Without them, it's very hard to even get out of the gate and let anyone know who you are. And then hopefully we'll get the radio play, we'll get a video on an MTV type of thing. I see the business turning around more towards rock and roll.
I think the climate is better now than it has been in the past few years.
It seems to be.
It looks like it's going that way.
Mm-hmm. Although music's very diversified, more so than maybe ever, but I know there's people who definitely want, rock and roll, and we're there to give it to them for sure. And I have to admit, also, we didn't calculate a record. Many times bands will try to time a market. That was a commitment John and I made. Let's just do what we dig. And if the timing's right, I guess we win. And if it isn't, I still feel like we win because we did what's true to us.
Exactly.
If that doesn't work, I'll just be a water boy on the Lilith tour.
Notice he picks the all-female tour.
Hey, you know what?
He's a hands-on kind of guy.
I'm a hands-on kind of guy. It's either that or the Ozfest. Whatever.
Okay, the next step is playing live. You haven't played live as a band yet, am I correct?
Just as we did a little bit right before we went into the album, and we kind of, I don't want to call it a showcase, but we played for our managers and a few friends. We had them down at the rehearsal studio, and we played for our managers and a guy, Paul Bebo, who was general manager of Mayhem Records. So we rehearsed for, I guess, about a week or two.
What was the vibe like that time when you first all played together?
Oh, I loved it.
It was insane.
It was very exciting. First of all, we've been living with the songs, the demo versions at least, which were, I looked at them like masters because I'm a perfectionist anyway, right? And then by the time we got to rehearsal in order to, as four guys, playing, our hearts out on those songs, they even sounded bigger, and obviously there's more than four, there's a couple more tracks on guitar on the record, obviously, but it still sounded really full, and we all sing, even though, John's the lead singer, but everyone can sing and support him as opposed to just let him out there, by himself. And I know the label and managers were really impressed with that, so we all, played well. We looked like a band, too. It's kind of cool. Jamie's real tall, like myself, and Brent's tall, and he's behind the drums.
Most of the time.
Yeah, but and then you got
I'm the Ronnie Dio of the group.
The little guy up front, But it kind of all worked, and we actually rehearsed for that as if it was a gig, even though of course it was just like, let's show the label and our managers. Well, the managers always believed in us, but let them see what they're working hard for. And let's show the label what they're paying for, because the label becomes like a bank who's kind of like loaning you something to get out there, and hopefully everybody can be successful. And they were very happy, and we were proud of it. It was great.
So when can people expect to see you?
Well, first, John and I are going to do this promo tour, if you haven't already seen it or heard it rather, which will be on radios to get interest on across the country. And I would say probably within 3 weeks to a month after the release date, we should be out on tour.
I figure sometime in March.
Right.
National and international?
We'd love to do it all. We want to play the whole world, wherever they'll have us. I don't have any illusions that that will be on a 3-year tour. Okay, I don't know. I want to play everywhere though. I mean, this is. I never looked at touring as work, although it's going to be. It is a job too, because you don't have the same kind of comforts as being at home. But this is going to be so exciting for us because it's our dream. It's our band. That's
something of your own.
Exactly.
I just want to play where there's women with accents.
We might go to Europe.
Yeah.
We're
down south.
But down south.
We're down south.
Yes. Wherever they'll have
I'm
us.
just kidding, folks.
And will audiences expect to hear any material from your previous bands in the set?
I think so, because I mean, one of the things that I think it's not fair in a situation like this. Bruce was in Kiss for 12 years. He's got so many fans from the Kiss days. I was in the Scream, Motley Crue, and I know I picked up a few fans along the way, and I just think it's unfair, if we were to just go out and neglect the fact, neglect where we came from, or not play anything from those bands, I really want to go and maybe play a couple of, like I said, Scream, Kiss, Motley Crue things, and even some covers, some stuff that we've always wanted to do. The funny thing about it is when we did rehearse, everybody's been playing so long and did the whole cover thing, and it's funny, like, the band is almost a walking encyclopedia of songs. I mean, it's hilarious. Somebody will start a riff. It could be a disco song, whatever. We play it, and it's like everybody jumps in and they play the song, they know it. One day at rehearsal, we did, like, I think the entire first Kiss live album for about 40 minutes. Slash was next door going, what the hell's going on? Who is that band next door,
Kiss
man?
cover
What's
band.
going on? Yeah. It was funny, but yeah, we're going to do a lot of stuff, man. Acoustic shit and whatever.
Most new bands don't have, they have their one record, and even then, you can't do everything from your new record because that gets a little boring. We're really fortunate. We have lots to choose from.
So, anything in closing to say to your fans?
No, I just want to thank everybody that's been supporting the band on the internet, the websites. The response that the people at Mayhem have been getting has been overwhelming, and I just really want to thank everybody, thank that union workforce that's out there busting their hump for us, and we hope to see everybody in the new year.
Well, if you're listening to this, obviously you are very curious and you're a fan. Hopefully you're ready. And what can I say? It feels great to be a part of this kind of situation where we came, we're both coming out of other things that were things we were proud of, but I think we're in a band now that's in our kind of control and destiny, and if you're going to come along for the ride, I got to thank you for buying the ticket and coming along. That's great.
Okay. Well, great luck, guys.
Alrighty. See ya.